Let's go through these 10 healthy foods in order based on when we consume them throughout the day. First up is the almighty breakfast cereal. This is probably one of the most damaging things we put in our body because we get started on this stuff at a very early age. So I was born in Asia, and growing up, I didn't eat breakfast cereal. Breakfast cereals were completely foreign to me. It was only when I moved to North America that I was introduced to this stuff. And I was like, what? You eat that stuff first thing in the morning? And the main problem with breakfast cereals is that they are unbelievably high processed and they're full of sugar. The problem is, it's also a multi-billion-dollar industry. Through sheer brilliant marketing, eating breakfast cereals has become the norm in North America. And they're really smart when it comes to marketing this stuff, right? So they put like cartoon characters and action figures on the box, and kids just go crazy over this stuff. And then we somehow justify eating this stuff and give it to our kids because it's fortified with vitamins and minerals, as if that means anything. The problem is you're only getting the synthetic version of those vitamins and minerals because it gets added back to the food after all the processing that it goes through. I literally cannot think of a worse way to start your day by eating a sugar bomb first thing in the morning, by eating breakfast cereal. Next up are granola bars, protein bars, and meal replacement bars. They're all the same. We live in a world where you can have anything on the go, right? So we're all busy, and sometimes we don't have time to eat first thing in the morning. So we grab whatever's convenient, and that's when these bars come in. It's basically breakfast cereal's evil cousin. They're literally the exact same thing, but again, through brilliant marketing, so they're labeled as vegan, organic, gluten-free, non-GMO, it's high in fiber, as if, again, that means anything. Listen, a cardboard box is also vegan, non-GMO, organic, and high in fiber. Doesn't mean that you should eat it. The problem is most of these protein bars and granola bars are laced with sugar or artificial sweeteners. So if you look at the back of the packaging, it wouldn't say sugar all the time. It'll usually say sucralose or dextrose or maltodextrin or one of the 61 different names of sugar. If you're in North America, then you'll know what this is. But a Cliff Bar, for example, has 240 calories, 5 grams of fat, 44 grams of carbs, 22 grams of it being sugar, and 10 grams of protein. Compare that to a Snickers bar, which has 280 calories, 14 grams of fat, 35 grams of carbs, 30 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of protein. They're really not that far off from each other, yet one gets demonized and the other one gets a free pass. Next up are meal replacement shakes. Again, people consume this stuff because they're branded as being healthy. It's like a, meal on the go. And to be clear, I actually know some people who's lost weight on this stuff. So I'm talking about those people that drink like Slim Fast, Shakeology, or whatever company that's just popping up left, right, and center here, because there's big money on this stuff. The problem is, do you really want to be drinking weight loss shakes for the rest of your life? Can you sustain that? And what are the long-term implications of drinking this highly processed concoction that you're drinking? Again, the problem lies in the processing. So it contains fillers. The main ingredients usually are high fructose corn syrup, vegetable oils, which are highly inflammatory. And they're usually sweetened with artificial sweeteners to keep the calories down. The problem is, it's not satiating. Like, you drink this stuff and, an hour or two later, you're hungry already. It's laced with preservatives. It's laced with the 61 different names of sugar that I mentioned earlier, and they tend to be really expensive. And you just have to use some common sense here. I mean, you're not eating real food here. You're eating food-like products by drinking, these meal replacement shakes. Next up is fruit, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I don't care. I'm all about telling the truth. Fruit seems to get a health halo from a lot of people. And I guess if you're replacing, eating a bag of chips and you're eating fruit instead, then I guess that's a great first step. But if you're trying to lose weight, you should really limit your intake of fruit. And people still have this idea that they need to consume, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. That number, by the way, is completely made up. It's not based on good science at all. The government literally just thought that, 5 servings seems like a good idea. And that's how that information became enshrined. Does that sound like good science to you? And the other problem with fruit is the fruit that we're eating today is not even remotely close to being the same as the fruit that our ancestors ate back in the day. Fruit today is genetically modified to be sweeter. It's genetically modified to be bigger. Like, banana back in the day looks drastically different from a banana today. Same as tomatoes and berries. If you look at what a watermelon looks like back in the day versus the stuff that we eat today, they're drastically different. Bottom line is, if your goal is weight loss, you should just be limiting your fruit intake to avocado and berries. Next up is fruit juice. This is the evil cousin of fruit because now you're getting it in its highly processed, concentrated form. And that is a very bad thing. Like, at least with fruit, you're slowing down the absorption of all those carbs and sugar in your body because of its fiber content. But when you drink fruit juice, All of that gets taken away, and when you drink this stuff, it literally acts like a sugar bomb once it enters your system. And the other problem with juice is its serving size. Sometimes if you go to one of these fancy cold pressed juice places, it'll say, oh, it has 5 oranges. Cool. My question is, who eats 5 oranges in one sitting? And I don't care that it has, vitamin C or whatever. You can get vitamin C from better sources. Heck, even broccoli has vitamin C. Next up are plant-based substitutes. But here's the problem with plant-based substitutes. Let's use Beyond Burger, for example. It's all the rage these days. A lot of fast food joints have them. A lot of restaurants serve Beyond Burgers. The problem with Beyond Burgers is that if you look at the back of the ingredient, there are God knows how many ingredients there are on a Beyond Burger versus, let's say, a burger patty. The burger patty has one ingredient, beef. The Beyond Burger has God knows how many ingredients, and the amount of processing that it has to go through for it to even look like, a burger patty. They need to make this plant look like meat, and a lot of processing needs to take place for that to happen. Again, most plant-based substitutes are highly processed, and it's the exact same thing with, let's say, vegetable chips. Listen, they still need to be deep fried in canola or sunflower oil, which again are highly inflammatory. Bottom line is, when you're trying to make these healthy food choices, just stick to single ingredient foods. What's the point of trying to go healthy by eating plant-based foods when you're eating an unbelievably highly processed food? That makes zero sense to me. Next up is diet soda. Listen, diet soda is one of the biggest lies in the fitness industry. And again, through brilliant marketing, it's being branded as the healthier alternative to regular Coke because it contains 0 calories, as if that means anything in your body. Your body doesn't count calories. You have no calorie counter in your stomach. Your body, however, has a physiological response every time you drink a can of Diet Coke. It triggers an insulin response, and that's important because insulin is what controls your body weight. So every time you trigger an insulin response, your body goes into fat storage mode. And that's how people get fat drinking this stuff. Diet Coke destroys your gut microbiome and is directly linked to obesity. And here's the thing, right? Do you know anybody who drinks Diet Coke and has lost a lot of weight because of it? No, it's the exact opposite. And the other thing is, people use diet sodas as a crutch for their bad food choices. They'll order the worst thing on the menu and then they'll say, oh, can I get a Diet Coke with that, please? Next up are low-fat dairy and low-calorie foods. I spend a lot of time at coffee shops, and you still hear so many people order their skinny vanilla lattes. There's a lot of research out there these days that shows that saturated fat and cholesterol are actually not bad for you. It was wrongfully demonized back in 1960, and it led to unintended consequences like the obesity epidemic that we're dealing with these days. The problem with low-fat dairy and low-calorie foods in general is that to make anything low-fat or low-calorie, fat is the main thing that gets stripped away. So it goes through, again, a lot of processing. They take away the fat because fat is calorically dense, and once they take out the fat, they need to replace it with something else to make it taste good, and that something else is sugar. So usually anything that's low fat is actually high sugar. Low calorie ice cream is a perfect example of this, right? So if you know about the brand Halo Top, if you're in North America, it's really popular because it's low calorie. It's literally the dream. You can eat low calorie ice cream, but again, it's highly processed. They use sugar alcohols in this stuff, and it's really not that much better than eating regular ice cream. But again, people eat this stuff because they think it's healthy. Next, we have artificial sweeteners. So you've got your stevia, Splenda, sucralose, maltodextrin, they're all the same. It's branded as 0 calories and people think that it's good for you. But again, your body still reacts to artificial sweeteners the same way. Your body thinks that there's food coming in. So again, it triggers an insulin response. It triggers the cephalic phase in your body. Again, your body thinks there's food coming in. So the more you consume this stuff, the more you trigger an insulin response in your body. And persistently high levels of insulin leads to insulin resistance. And insulin resistance leads to diabetes and obesity. Listen, artificial sweeteners does not get a free pass in your body. Again, 0 calories means nothing. Nothing that's sweet gets a free pass. And last but not the least, healthy whole grains. If we do a little history lesson here, back in the 60s, obesity wasn't a problem in the US. And back in 1977, the US released their first dietary guidelines for Americans. They told Americans to eat 8 to 12 servings of grains. And if I were to pinpoint one reason why we have an obesity epidemic in North America, it's because of the overconsumption of grains. That and the combination of us going from 3 meals a day to 6 meals a day. And processed grains does 2 really bad things to your body. Number 1 is, again, it triggers an insulin response because most of the grains that we consume are highly processed. The higher the processing, the higher the insulin response. And again, if you've been watching my videos, you'll know how important the insulin response is in your body when it comes to setting your body set weight. And number 2 is that grains contain anti-nutrients, specifically lectins, which is rarely ever talked about. Anti-nutrients reduces the consumption of vitamins and minerals from a meal. It can also trigger an autoimmune response in your body because the lectins bind in the gut wall of your stomach and your body starts attacking itself in the process. That's how autoimmune diseases are born. Yet nobody talks about this stuff. Here's all you need to know about healthy whole grains, okay? So we evolved as humans 2.5 million years ago. Modern agriculture started 10,000 years ago. So that was when we started cultivating grains. So our bodies evolved to eat a certain way 2.5 million years ago, and then we started eating grains 10,000 years ago. If you do a little math, that is 0.4% of human history that we only started eating grains. Simply put, our bodies haven't evolved to process this stuff. Yet our entire diet revolves around grains these days. North Americans predominantly still eat a very high carb, low fat diet. And there's nothing inherently wrong with eating carbs, by the way. Like a lot of, traditional people still eat carbs. Like the Okinawans, the Kitavans, for example, they eat a very high carb diet. They eat a lot of yams and tubers, for example, and they don't have an obesity problem. The poison lies in the processing. And that's been a major theme from all the foods that I mentioned in this video. At the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you revolve your diet around single ingredient foods. You want to revolve your diet around plants and animals. Try to avoid refined carbs and processed carbs. Don't drink liquid calories and avoid added sugar. And make sure you do your own research before you start eating the next trendy healthy food. Remember, there are no bad foods, only processed ones. Now, if you enjoy this video, then you don't want to ignore this one. And always remember, it's not about the weight you lose, it's about the life you gain. I'll see you in the next video.